You are listening to the USDN on the DSPN.
It's a trap!
What is up, everybody? It's the chairman of the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight I got a big one for you because the snow is falling, a candle is flickering, and somewhere in the dark, a sultry whisper cuts the silence. This year, Christmas comes 3 times. And welcome back, everybody. Joining me today on a launch day celebration are Clay Adams and David Schrader of Bloodline Comics, and they're coming here today to present to y'all a very Carmilla Christmas Carol, which is a sexy supernatural revamp of Dickens' iconic holiday classic, launching today on Kickstarter, which just funded as of about an hour and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. Clay, David, welcome to the show, fellas.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for having us.
Nice to be here, Mr. Chairman.
Guys, how's it feel? You got a late launch today at 4 p.m. and you were fully funded before y'all's dinner time.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. I can't complain. It's tracking very well. Like we were talking beforehand. Got a little bit of a later start than we're used to, but we got it together just in time, and it's going like gangbusters.
These things always come together at the last minute sometimes. No matter how much you plan, there's always some loose ends, and Clay does the lion's share of, not physically, but building the website, the
digitally,
digitally building the
Fingers
Kickstarter
behind it.
Yes, and so it's a lot of work, a lot of moving parts, and I give him all the credit for being the engine that drives these things.
You're too kind. We're a team.
And for everybody, David is the mind though that wrote the book.
No, not this one. Not this one. No,
didn't.
I think I had the germ of the idea, and then we kind of went back and forth on it. And then the main thing was that I had an idea to kind of bring it into a present or near future. And Clay thought we were going to do more of a traditional. Let's set her in the Dickens era Christmas Carol, because she could have been there. She's that old. But we said, well, let's change this up and let's make it a little different. So I kind of wanted to kind of make it a more of a modern take on it. And then Clay is always good at kind of shaping some of my crazier ideas and honing it. So we do work well together in that way.
Yeah, Dave had the idea to sort of make it kind of a modern day or near present future commentary on current events, and
it's not Ebenezer Scrooge. It's Elonezer Spooge is our character that she had dealings with in the 90s in Silicon Valley, and so they have a history, and she comes back to haunt him.
Yeah, so Dave worked out a pretty extensive story Bible. And I kind of took some of his opening scene and kind of the synopses that he wrote down and helped whip it into shape. But it's a team effort for sure.
So what drove y'all to want to take the Dickens classic and bring it to Carmilla, which is a wonderful idea. I've been following y'all's story with Carmilla for quite some time now. But what was like, like, we gotta do something for Christmas, or was it just like Carmilla, Dickens classic, let's do it?
I think it kind of was like that. I mean, I think first of all, thank you for your support, for following the book. We launched the first one 1973 a few years ago, and it did pretty well. But we've learned a little bit more about how to run a Kickstarter since then, and so we did 1984 earlier this year, and that really took off. And so
that was the Miami Heat, or
yes. Miami Bites.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miami Bites. Yes.
Yeah.
That one was so good.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun, and the book came out great. The campaign went gangbusters, and so I think we were like, what can we do next with her? And I don't honestly remember how we came up with the idea of doing Christmas Carol.
I think part of it is we've always tended to launch either Nightmare Theater, which is our horror anthologies, or Carmilla in October, like Halloween time, even though we did Miami Bites in the beginning of this year. So we thought, well, are we going to do another one in October? Let's go for the holidays and let's bridge the holidays. I know the holidays aren't traditionally like where you want to launch a Kickstarter, although we noticed today there was like literally like one Kickstarters going. Like, I had no idea. You just never know. And you really never know how these things are going to go. But it seems like there is an audience thirst for Carmilla, the character. I think the idea of taking this novella and this character that has these, very Victorian kind of conservative kind of stories that are, kind of close to the vest. They're not crazy, right? Like, I don't know if you saw the movie Carmilla in 2019 or even some of the other offshoots. And I know Amy Chu did a book, Carmilla, and people play with it a little bit, but we wanted to really take her and extrapolate some of the almost superpowers that she has from that novella. I mean, she can move through walls. She can move through objects. She can turn.
I think y'all do Carmilla like justice compared to any other material that may be out there right now on her. I think y'all have taken her and elevated her to a whole new level.
Well, thank you for saying that. We appreciate it. It's always nice to hear people that actually have checked the book out and like it. And there's things that you could do with this that might just fall into the trap of everything else you see with the sexy vampire book. But we wanted to really kind of turn it on its head. Yeah, there is sex and violence, obviously. But the reason we set Carmilla 73 in 73 was it was the modern dawn of women's rights. And so the idea was that how long can a vampire live until she finds meaning? And in her meaning, it's like, who do I kill? Am I just going to feed on young girls like she does in the novella, or is she going to start taking out larger targets? And so those targets grow, and the idea that you could jump around with a vampire into any era is kind of fun too. You don't have to say this is issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and kind of cram it together. You can just move around and follow the narrative in a fractured kind of timeline, which is a lot of fun because you can just choose whatever. I just thought the holiday idea just worked really well. And like the covers we were able to get for this, like the tie-ins have been fantastic.
The covers were great for this book. I was trying to, just like everybody else probably was earlier today when the book launched and I got home and I finally had 5 minutes to breathe and sit down. I was like, which cover do I want now? And I'm like, you do the standard scroll and you're like, scroll back up and you're like, damn, why are they gonna make this difficult? But
Chairman, it's like a Pokemon. You got to get them all.
That's right. Got to catch them all.
There's a tier for it.
Yeah, we're evil like that. We like to, make
it's the best kind of evil, though. It's the best kind of evil. I mean, Pokemon does it. Why not y'all?
That's right. That's right.
But let's. What made y'all decide to go back to Elonezer Spooge or Elonezer Spooge?
Spooge.
There you go.
For this one, that's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, and not a really nice mouthful. Actually,
it's a so to speak. That's why you got the so to speak on there. What y'all revisit with him? I mean, it's a great character, and I love it, and it's cool that you're kind of like reaching back and pulling him back.
Well, I mean, So, like Dave said, I mean, the idea behind the whole Carmilla series, right, is that she's like a vampire Dexter. She only kills the bad guys, and so we thought Ebenezer Scrooge. Now I don't even know their names anymore. I'm getting them confused. Ebenezer Scrooge was sort of would have been someone she would have gone after. Here's a miserly guy who treats his employees very poorly, and so that's exactly the kind of person that she would try to take out. And so, I think in my original conception that this was just going to be a fairly straightforward Dickens adaptation. That was the idea, and so Dave had the brilliant idea of making him Elonezer Spooge, which I am compelled to say that bears no resemblance to anyone living or dead.
Yeah, the lawyers have called, Clay. Please,
yes.
Yeah. No.
The disclaimer is out there.
But it is also like, who is the modern day equivalent of Scrooge, right? This guy doesn't give the charity. He hates Christmas. He just hates everything. He just seems miserable, even though he's fabulously wealthy. Like, what kind of miserable person do you have to be that rich and still be that miserable, right? So we delve into that a little bit. Person. Yeah, and so we have
and again, he bears no resemblance to anyone living or dead.
Yeah. So we also did some play on words. It's like not Bob Cratchit. It's Barb Ratchet is his assistant, his beleaguered assistant. It's not Tiny Tim. It's Petite Pete is her son, who's got like some paternity issues, And it kind of worked effortlessly. It just kind of flowed and it worked. You just had to add some sideburns and some text stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And I think Eric Tamayo, who did the artwork, it just looks really amazing. And Alex Seif did the colors, and they really like working on these books. And I think they really hit it out of the park with this one, as did all the cover artists.
See, when I told y'all just before we went live that y'all would probably answer some questions as we went, and that was going to be not the next question, but the one right after. So
which was what? Hit me. What was it?
Eric Tamayo and Alex Seif's colors and their art, which phenomenal as always.
They're having fun and it shows. And I think I think it really comes through in the scripts too, because like I feel like these books kind of write themselves. I mean, don't you, Dave? It's sort of like how did this all come together?
They do, because it was fun. I think we bounced stuff off of each other. There was even like the idea of like, he's obsessed with going to, I think Clay was like, well, he should be going to Mars. I was like, not Mars, like, let's make it Uranus. And then like, the assistant's like, you're obsessed with going to Uranus. No one wants to go to Uranus. It stinks, like, so you're able to just do like these play on words. And even the idea of like Dickens, we're able to say like, no Dickens required, or get your Dickens out. It's time for Carmilla Christmas Carol. Like, it's just fun play on words and holiday stuff. And so we had a lot of fun with it. I know that the artists did, and they really went for it. Like, there's a lot in this book where Clay and I would be like, is this too much? Should we scale this back? Should we put a word bubble over this part? But I think people kind of know what they're getting with this book, but it's also a little more than that. Like, we really like to lean in. My background's in comedy and very dark comedy a lot of times. And so I love satire, and I love kind of sticking it to the man. And Carmilla just kind of like, you can do whatever you want with her because she doesn't give a shit. She's just awesome. And so it's really fun to like just turn up the volume on her and let her go wild.
Yeah, we leaned into the comedy this time a little bit more, which we really haven't. I mean, not that the other books have been super serious, but
they had their moments. It was like the one-liners and the zingers and the fun stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. But we kind of amped that up. Everything's kind of turned up to 11 in this one, like Spinal Tap. Yeah,
as it should have been. So we have our classic ghosts, the past, present, and future, and I can already know y'all turned that up to 11 as well. How does your version twist that tradition? Because I know y'all gave it a delicious twist in there. And just how gorgeous did y'all make these ladies for this book?
Very gorgeous. We thought about this it really started to come together, I think, in 1984. This idea that Carmilla has
the book, not the year. We're not.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not. We weren't. I wasn't like 14
listen.
thinking of this. The book, Carmilla,
I
1984.
mean, you could have been 14 thinking about this.
Probably
40 years in the making.
sure.
This book. No, yeah, it is. Sorry, in Carmilla Unbound 1984, which was our previous issue, Miami Bites, aka Miami Bites. We really started to explore this idea that Carmilla, because she's been around for so long, she has been putting together this network of like-minded associates, these other vampires who kind of want to help her out. And you know, maybe at some point we'll go back and we'll sort of explore kind of how that came together, possibly between 1973 and 1984, which are the two one-shots we've done so far. But we really kind of introduced that concept in 1984. And so we decided, let's make those associates her ghosts.
Her helpers in this are in Carmilla 84. And we kind of laid the groundwork with this in Nightmare Theater 2. There's a short story that I wrote called Carmilla Comes Again, and it's set in 73 in San Francisco. And she's looking for, I mean, if you know this, the novella Carmilla, she's looking for her lost love. Her love in that book is named Laura. And so she's kind of looking for the reincarnation of her lost love. So she's on this like journey of unrequited love to find someone that is her, you know, and she's also being hunted by her maker. So there's this duality of like looking for true love, but while on the run from her maker and her mother's maker. And the idea of having helpers and assistants that are vampires, and like kind of that's who brings her out of the grave in the beginning of this book. And that's
included on the Kickstarter. For those wondering, you can actually see that
in the preview. Right.
Yes,
right.
It's an awesome way to just kind of give them that little bit of little sugar on top right there, right in the beginning.
A little Easter egg is I did a story in Nightmare Theater 3D that Eric Tamayo did the artwork for, and it's called Unhappy Endings, and it's a very dark short story, but it's in the story a guy goes to like a spa. It's called Spa Succubus, and he finds on the dark web, and I don't know if I should spoil the story, but Carmilla has a little cameo in that. Like there's a picture on the wall of this spa that she runs where, should I spoil that story, Clay? I don't think anyone cares, right?
People may want to buy the book.
Okay. If you get Nightmare Theater 3D, there's a Carmilla cameo, but the story is great and it's very twisted and dark, but that's somehow tied into it too. Those assistants are also appear in that story.
It's great that you can just tie everything from this little universe together in it. No matter what year it's in, it all makes sense and it all works out so well. And that's what's great about writing vampire stories, right? Is that you can, like, remember that one thing we did from 10 years ago, and you can reach back in there and pull it back over into today. So that's really dope that you're able to flirt with that, so to speak.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know if a ton of stories do that. I remember Interview with the Vampire. I like that part of it and that aspect. And even the first couple seasons of True Blood, if you ever watched that, my favorite stuff was seeing Bill in the 20s in Chicago. And it's like,
yes.
And they have a weariness. They have this vampire weariness of like, I am tired of life, and they're trying to find meaning. And so our idea was to take Carmilla to what is her meaning? It is to like, I'm gonna try to make the world a better place by killing bad guys. And the longer I live, the richer, literally and figuratively, my targets become. And so in this one, it's kind of like the top target.
And Rice's books do the same thing. Like, it seems like, I know they got Liz Stat making his premiere this year in the new season, and that dude just like, he happy on the outside and just absolutely a miserable person on the inside.
Just like a clown.
A killer clown.
A killer clown, that's right.
Welcome to Derry has been fantastic. I don't know if y'all are watching that one, but
I haven't checked it out yet, but it's on the list.
Yet. It's on the list too.
Yeah, bump it to the top. That one's been great. So we hit it on it earlier. You got some fantastic variant covers from artists like Emmanuel Taglietti, Flops, and Metzi Funk going on for this book. How is that like deciding like who do we want to reach out to see if they want to do a variant for this book? I imagine that has to be a difficult decision to make.
Well, it's always tough because, you when you know so many artists, right? You want to use everybody, and you want everybody to come play in the sandbox. And unfortunately, it's like you can go overboard on the variant covers. We like to try to limit them. We do like making it difficult for you to make a choice of which one to get.
Mission accomplished.
But we don't like having too many choices. I mean, partly because it's just a lot of work to get them put up on the page, especially when you have, variations on the variation. But there were certain people that we definitely wanted, like, the Emmanuel Taglietti, I think, was the first one we got. We had contacted him about getting a cover for Nightmare Theater Volume 1. And he sent us a few options, and we were like, well, none of these work for Nightmare Theater, but this one is perfect for Carmilla. This is, absolutely perfect for Very Carmilla Christmas Carol. And so we told him, okay, yeah, we want this one, but like, give us some more options for Nightmare Theater. So he was the first that we locked down, and then I think,
and it's our first Taglietti for Carmilla. He's only done our Nightmare Theater books, and we had done a reprint of Volume 1 recently with his Taglietti cover. It's beautiful, and so you could get like Volume 1, 2, and 3 of just the Taglietti hardcovers. But this is his first Carmilla one that we have, which is pretty cool. Go ahead, Clay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even sure who came in next, but. There's a stable of people that we do kind of like to work with as much as possible. Mexifunk turns out some great stuff. Flops always turns in great work, and they have fan bases that they bring along. But then there are other people that we want to work in and work with. And anyway, Dave.
No, Suspiria Land. Suspiria,
that was the other
Bill
one.
Chess.
I wasn't for sure how to pronounce that one.
Yeah, I know. I always have trouble with it, but it's from the movie Suspiria, which is a really cool. If you've ever seen it, check it out. I think I have. It's an Italian horror movie that is just fantastic, beautifully shot. Like this has been my
year of discovery for Italian horror, and not just like comic books, but also on the cinema side as well. Yeah,
I would say check that out because it's beautifully shot. Like it's just something. It's mesmerizing, really. So her stuff is just so evocative of like those old school posters, and like we reached out to her because I read an interview with her at Fanbase Press, and I loved her work, and so we just kind of reached out, and she was totally into it. She loves horror, right? So some of these artists tend towards horror anyhow, so you're kind of like, if they want to work with that, and sometimes you see them doing Vampirella stuff that's not covers, but they're like, I would love to do a Vampirella cover. So it's like, well, Carmilla predates Vampirella. Let's have them get in there. So and her stuff is fantastic. And who else, Clay, did we bring along this time? There was one new. Well, Eric did the cover for us, and then also
colored by Finn Cram.
Daria Heim. It's our first cosplay cover, which is we have some other ones, and she gave some fantastic pictures, and so those were hard to choose from with the cover for that as well.
And that's a new thing that's kind of started in the last couple of years with Vampirella and Red Sonja. They've been the two biggest ones I've seen going with cosplay covers. So it's kind of cool to kind of see those like make an appearance in books now.
And she reached out to us. It was like, she's like, would you like a cosplay cover? We haven't really thought about it. And this just seemed perfect to do that with because, a lot of the cosplayers loves playing vampires and the blood and everything else, and they can really act in it, and so that stuff's great. And then we just thought, well, if we're going to do that and some of these other things, this is the campaign to do it on. Like, let's just go nuts with it. We really tried to like put everything into this campaign.
Mission accomplished. Because like I said, like I may still go back to the Kickstarter and pick out a couple of more covers if I'm just being honest with myself, because yes, I made my decision, but I'm sitting there here, like even now talking to you, I'm like, I kind of want that one cover too. So
I catch them all, man. Gotta catch them all.
I love that whenever the covers are just so good. And I like those darker, like creepy covers, you know? So for me, it's like the hardest decisions ever is picking a good horror cover whenever, especially in October, when all the good horror comic books are hitting the shelves. And I'm just like, oh, but that cover. I'm like, yeah, but that one cover, that's a Prism cover on the Hello Darkness. And hard decisions that are like, but they're so fun to make. So for readers new to Carmilla Unbound, is this a perfect jump on spot for the series, or would y'all recommend going back and catching up with the other two?
Well, you got to catch them all, but
Perfect answer.
But I will say these are all one shots. So you got a complete story in every single issue. So if you pick up 1973, you got a complete story. You pick up 1984, you got a complete story. You pick up a very Carmilla Christmas Carol, you get a complete story. They all sort of have subtle nods to each other, you know, as we're building, and you can kind of see connective tissue between them, or you could maybe go, oh, how did she, you know, she ended 1973 here, but how did she get to this point in 1984? And we can always go back in and fill in the gaps at some point. You know, we are sort of telling a bigger story on a bigger tapestry, but yes, we very deliberately try to make these all a perfect jumping on point.
Perfect. I like it. So holiday horror is a very specific niche. You either hit it or you drop it like it's hot, and it doesn't work for people. What separates a very Carmilla Christmas Carol from the other guys out there bringing a holiday horror into the world today, you know, during the holiday season?
Clay, you want to take that, or?
Well, you know what? You unmuted, so I'm gonna let you talk.
I'll start, and if I suck, you can fill in.
You're doing great so far.
Well, no, it's just that you know, A Christmas Carol is it's a Gothic horror story, and I think doing the research into this, because we did do research. I watched a lot. I read the book again, and the George C. Scott TV version is I think one of the great versions of Christmas Carol, and I was surprised at how kind of scary it was, like how they played with that horror. And I also watched the FX one, which was just a couple years ago with Guy Pearce, and they did something totally different with it as well. And I think it was just natural to lean into the horror elements of it, and then bringing her in and having her have a backstory with this guy, and then making him a version of you know, a modern day CEO tech titan guy who
bears no resemblance to anyone living or dead.
Right. So it's just like the idea of that story is already kind of a horror story. So it's not like, oh, this is a character, you know, this is our race car driver, and we're just going to make it a Christmas horror thing. You know, it kind of had it baked in already, and it just seemed perfect to do it this time of year.
Yeah, what Dave said.
I like it. No, I love when like the holiday season gets good horror, especially the Christmas season where we're all supposed to be happy and, you know, in the spirit. And I'm like, yeah, but if we slid some horror in there, it would be even better.
I forgot to mention, like, Black Christmas is one of my favorite horror movies, and I think Clay likes that one as well.
Yeah,
Clay did a book a while ago called Red Xmas, which is really cool. Like, he could tell you more about that, but he seems to have an affinity for Christmas and horror. He says it goes together like chocolate and peanut butter.
That's right. That's right.
He's not wrong on that one.
Chairman, have you seen Black Christmas?
I haven't. I'm going to have to check that one out.
Oh, yeah, the original, not the remake.
Yeah, the original 73. Perfect. Little fun fact, it was directed by Bob Clark of Christmas Story fame. And the same cinematographer. So when you watch it, it looks a little like A Christmas Story, except it's Margot Kidder's in it, and Keir Dullea, who was in 2001. Like, it's got a great cast, but it's considered one of the first slasher movies. Right, Clay? I think it's considered one of the...
It's definitely one of the first. Olivia Hussey, right?
Yeah. The girl from Romeo and Juliet, Zeffirelli's.
And Norman Bates's mom in Psycho 4.
It's just well done. It's really like sharp, and it's sharp and funny and dark, and like Halloween. Carpenter's Halloween was heavily influenced by Black Christmas. So I'd say I'd say if you love horror and it's kind of the season, like check that one out. I believe it's streaming on a couple sites.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's definitely gonna. That's you just gave me my weekend plan for at least one day.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, I mean, Black Christmas is definitely up there, but that's something I've only seen, in the last 5 years. Whereas like Gremlins made a huge impression on me, and Phoebe Cates giving the monologue about finding her father stuffed in the chimney. He dressed up like Santa and was going to surprise them, and then got stuck in the chimney, and that's why she hates Christmas. That's like, that to me is perfect. That it's Black comedy. It's horror, and it's also Christmas, and so something about that for me just really struck a chord. So yeah, I do. Well,
I think it makes the horror more horrifying because it's happening during a season of joy and togetherness, and so it's playing against what you expect. And I think when like Silent Night, Deadly Night came out, like when that trailer came out, people were like, "What is this? Like, are you kidding me?" So yeah, I mean, that it has a history of that's there, for horror and Christmas, and we just wanted to kind of take it another step further.
So this series is inspired by Sheridan Le Fanu's erotic novella, which is a predecessor to Dracula. Why is Carmilla such a powerful figure for modern audiences, other than the cool fact that she happened before Dracula did? Little known fact, which is now fact, and now everybody knows.
Now everybody knows it because of our book. Forget all these other adaptations.
Exactly.
I think why she's cool. I mean, honestly, I think, I think the honest answer is that, it was written at a time where they couldn't come out and say certain things. And we now live in a time where you can come out and say those things. The novella had very, very strong lesbian undertones. And, people now can recognize that and either be more explicit about it or comment on it or whatever. But I think there is sort of like, there is a fascination with her. I mean, I think it's just kind of in the zeitgeist now, this character, and certainly, like you guys were saying before, other people have been doing adaptations kind of, at the same time we have. So it's definitely something in the air. She's fascinating to people. And I think it is just that aspect of like, at the time this was written, a lot of it had to be coded. But now we can tell these stories without being coded.
Right. It's in there. There's undertones, but there's some overtones too. It's a short novella. I mean, it's a short book. It's a novella. It's not a full long novel, but it did predate Dracula by at least 25 years. I think 26 years. And when Clay told me that, I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me that there's a story that predates Dracula by 25 years that's about a lesbian vampire. So we need to take this character and see what we can do with it, and really like kind of just amp up the volume and kind of lean into that a lot more. And so yeah, that was something I think we wanted to do to show people like, yeah, she's a lesbian vampire, but she's not above going to the other side to get what she wants, as you see in 1984. It turns out to be, a surprise, but like she's just a badass. Like she's just a badass character that kind of does what she wants because she can do what she wants. And I like the idea that she's making a difference in her own way.
Perfect answer. Perfect. How do y'all balance though the erotic elements of the story with genuine story depth, satire, and horror? Because it could have went off the rails in any given direction. How do y'all think y'all maintained it just being like this nice fine balance of what it is?
I mean, I think we knew that we wanted to tell a good story. First and foremost, like we didn't just want to do a sexy book just for the sake of doing a sexy book. We wanted to sort of make it important to the plot, and that was something that we really gave a lot of thought to, particularly in 1973, which was how can we make the sex in the book actually part of the plot where it became important and not just, gratuitous. So we gave that a lot of thought. And then so for 1984, I mean, it was just sort of building upon that, an extension of that. And for a very Carmilla Christmas Carol, I don't want to give anything away.
No.
That
I wouldn't
could
ask
be
y'all to do that.
a major spoiler, but I will say that we did find a way to tie the sex into the story of A Christmas Carol in a very, very important way. And I'll leave it at that.
You will. Well, we do tell people that you got to buy the book to find out the true meaning. You can unwrap the true meaning of bah humbug. And so when me and Clay started talking about it and we were bouncing the ideas back and forth, it just started to build and become funnier and more interesting, and like also drive the narrative. Like just that simple phrase. It's like, well, what does bah humbug really mean anyhow? It's not just say, oh, whatever. In this case, it has a specific meaning that is in the book, and it's
that relates to Spooge.
That relates to.
See, and this is why we waited till 9
years.
p.m. to start this show.
Right. Even just to say the name Elonezer Spooge. But it's in there. So if you want to know what the true meaning of bah humbug is, buy this book.
Get the book. Got to catch them all.
I like it. So y'all two formed Bloodline in 2019. What has kept y'all's creative partnership going strong, and how has that collaboration evolved through projects like Nightmare Theater, Cannibals on Mars, and now your third? It's the third Carmilla, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think what keeps it going is we love doing it, and I think. I think with any collaboration, what's really important is that each person brings their own strengths to the table and that they're complementary. And so it's like, Dave has strengths that I don't have. I may have strengths that he doesn't have, and our weaknesses are not the same. So it's like we're able to cover each other's weaknesses, but also add to each other's strengths. And so I think that makes for a very potent combination. And so we just seem to work together very well, and are having fun making some books.
Well, we're like Christmas and horror. We go together like that. And honestly, Chairman, first of all, these are great questions. We appreciate that. Clay was in a movie I did with my friend Keith Caloris. We co-wrote and co-directed a horror film that got released by Lionsgate back in 2005 called Bloodline. So the reason we're called Bloodline, the reason we're called Bloodline Comics is this horror film called Bloodline. Clay is an actor, and he did a great job in that. He was the lead of the movie. It was basically Friday the 13th meets Memento. We told like a kind of a straight kind of slasher story in a fractured timeline way, and it was a low budget movie. But again, Lionsgate released it, and we're really proud of it. I think it still holds up. So I knew Clay from way back then. And then when I was starting to think about doing a comic book called Baby Badass back in 2015, I self-published. Clay had done a book called PBOW, Pregnant Bitches of War, a really cool book. And it was the same, like a same vibe, So I was asking him questions, and I reconnected with him. I don't know, was that like 10 years later or 8 years later, something like that,
Yeah.
We kind of stayed in touch, but then I started asking him questions, and I was reading his books. I was like, wow, this guy does great stuff. And it's kind of like the stuff I like. So, when the pandemic hit, I think it was 2020 when we did Nightmare Theater, and we're like, let's do this. Let's do an anthology. Let's get all these people we know in the comic book world, in the indie comic world. And everyone said yes. So we had like 33 teams of creators that made that book. And I think it was really smart to do that as our first venture, because with all those teams, you get a pretty big Kickstarter brew going, like all these different people and creators and artists and writers. So they all back the book. And, when you do a good job with it, and we've always tried with Bloodline to treat our creators really well, to pay them, to appreciate them and the artists, and then to put out really good product. We don't do a lot of product. So when we do it, we try to put a lot of care into it and not just do like these little quick one-offs.
That works. And you answered my very next question, which I was going to be mentioning that Clay, you're actor and you've done voice acting as well. And David, you as well, from film and comedy and TV writing, and kind of like how your individual skill sets kind of clash or complement each other. And see what I did there?
Yeah, see, I mean that's and that is why we work well together, and I think it is, you know, I think that experience of having worked together, you know, 20 something years ago, I mean, that also informs it. You know, like sometimes you try to form partnerships with people and it doesn't quite work out or whatever, and it's like Dave and I have a history. You know, Alexander O'Philippe, who I co-wrote PBOW with, and Deadskins and Red Xmas that we were talking about earlier. He and I we went to college together. You know, I've known him since I was 18. So, you know, there is a history there that does make things easier because there is a trust. You know, I mean, Dave and I didn't know each other well. We didn't know each other at all when we did Bloodline. And we only knew each other so well once the project was over, because it was a very intense project and he was busy, you know, co-directing this thing and co-producing it. And I was busy trying to remember my lines. But having said that, I think like I could see how he approaches a creative project. You know, I knew what it was like to work with him. I knew that he could get a project to the finish line. I knew that he wasn't going to, you know, get mad halfway through and pick up his ball and go home. You know, you can kind of see who people are through working with them. And so like, I knew that this would be a guy that would be a good person to work with. I knew that he would get things to the finish line. I knew that, you know, we could get along personally. You know, I don't even know if Dave remembers, but we bonded over talking about Wilco. And he bought me the Wilco DVD.
Shit! I forgot about that. Yeah, no, we had a lot of the same sensibilities, and I saw that when I was reading PBOW. I was like, this is a lot like Baby Badass. This is just like dark humor, smart dark humor. Like Clay went to NYU and like is a trained writer. I'm a little more like out there, and as my friend Christian Horner, who co-created Baby Badass with me, he's like, Dave has a lot of great ideas, but he also has a lot of crazy ideas like that. So Clay can kind of like pull that back a little bit. But like, even with Carmilla, like we just bounce stuff off of each other and like, oh, that's great. That's perfect. And it just seems to work really well. There's no like butting of heads or any kind of jealousy about this or that and sharing credit. Like it just seems to work really well. And knock on wood, it continues, because this seems to be trending to be one of our bigger projects. And that's what we wanted to do. We want to keep growing it, make it bigger and better.
So we can expect future arcs from Carmilla in the near future?
If you buy all the covers, we're going to have to.
I've already did that just about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, you'd be crazy not to follow up a success, right, with more.
Well, because you can tell different stories, right? Like it's not like you're just repeating the same story.
It's definitely a character where you can explore just about anything.
Absolutely,
you want to.
You can set her in 2107, 2102 or whatever, 2122. Like just whatever you want to do with Carmilla, you can kind of go back and forth all the way back. We may do an origins story, you know, like that might be the
really
next
cool.
thing.
That'd be really cool.
And kind of get back into that traditional thing. One of the ideas we had was with Jack the Ripper, like she was gonna like stalk him or something. So there's just things you can do that are really fun and explore and expand. And this was just kind of a natural progression to do this one. And we'll see what comes next.
Dark Horse just did a Jack the Ripper series that was really good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Who did that?
I could Google it because I'd have to Google it.
That's okay. I can Google it later. I have the same Google you have.
Trust them. It was good.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
So what else is going to be coming from y'all here in the last quarter of 2025, early 2026? Anything else outside of Carmilla coming from Bloodline?
Well, it may be a little too early to announce anything. We do.
I don't want you to spoil nothing before you need to.
Yeah.
Wait, Clay, is Blood of the Grunge still going, or did it end?
We have 2 more days.
There's 2 more days. Clay wrote a book called Blood of the Grunge, and it is awesome. I'll let him tell you about it, but it's got 2 more
Go
days on
for it, Clay.
Kickstarter, and it is really badass.
Also
People
on
should check it out.
Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Also
right
on
now.
Kickstarter.
2 more days.
Yep, right now we've got about 42 hours to go. It's surreal modern horror for mature readers. That's The White Lotus meets Midsummer.
Ooh, bro.
We got some
sick man.
Great covers by Andrea Daly. Flops also gave us some covers. And then we have one by the interior art team of Fabio Ramacci and Ilaria Kioka, who worked with me on Red Xmas. So they're back for more mischief and mayhem. But that's bit.ly/grunch1, which I think is GRUNCH1. I can't spell. It's too late.
Just look up Blood of the Grunge Kickstarter. You'll find it.
Even if you misspell it, I'm sure it'll take you straight to it.
Yes, Grunch1, GRUNCH1. We got 42 hours left, but yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's I really wanted to do something kind of in the vein of White Lotus, but what if there was a monster on that island terrorizing these rich people?
Dude, that's awesome.
It came out great. I'm actually really proud of this script. I've actually written the whole series. It's a 3-issue series. I usually kind of like write things an issue at a time and then kind of come back to it. Like I have the whole plot in my head, but it's like, I'll do an issue here or there. But this one, I just kind of sat down and wrote all the way through. And I think that really kind of helped make it.
You going to go back to back with it?
We're going to try to put them out as quickly as we can. It really depends on the art team, how quickly they can, turn things around. They have already finished the first issue. So it's 100% complete, or I guess 99.9% complete. There are 1 or 2 coloring tweaks we need to make, a couple of artistic tweaks that we need to have happen. One which is actually to sort of help better set up something in the 3rd issue. And so it's like we couldn't do that if I hadn't finished the script, but because I have, we can go in and just alter. It's just like a very slight thing, a slight alteration of one panel, but that'll actually help something pay off a little bit better further down the road. So that's been a great project. Editor Frank Pittarisi is great. He's great to work with. I've worked with him on a bunch of stuff, and so he's really brought some great things out of this team.
Clay is a little more prolific than I. I don't have too much lined up, although I co-wrote a book with Peter Murrieta called Rafael Garcia Henchman, which is a really cool series. And Titan Comics is going to be releasing that in 2026.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Titan Comics, for those who don't know, that's gun hunting territory. So that's good company.
Yeah, no, we're excited about that. We're getting some covers done. It's a 3-issue arc. And with a second volume to follow, but we're excited about that. And then there's more Carmilla. We'll probably do something in the Nightmare Theater realm. We may do, it's not going to be a full anthology, but it may be like a Nightmare Theater Presents. We want to kind of keep that going. And the characters from that we created, Shelley Post Stoker is the hostess of that film festival of souls, and so there's a lot to explore with that too. But trust me, we'll be coming back with more Carmilla. Not too much, but just enough.
Sometimes you just gotta throw that tease out there. Gentlemen, where can everybody find y'all at if they want to either get in contact with y'all or just keep up with what y'all have going on over at Bloodline Comics?
Well, I am still on Twitter, believe it or not. I refuse to call it X, but I'm still on Twitter, at Clay's Evil Twin. And I'm also on Substack. Yeah, I'm also on Substack, clayadams.substack.com. And friedcomics.com. You can find some of my other stuff, Blazing Blade of Frankenstein and Dream Quest. You can find that at our store. And And on Kickstarter at Fried Comics.
I am on Instagram and Blue Sky at Schraderopolis, and also at Bloodline Comics and at Bloodline Comics Pictures. You can find us there and follow along.
Perfect. So as the candle fades and this final whisper settles into dark, we wrap up this launch day descent into Gothic holiday madness. A massive thank you to Clay and David for allowing me the opportunity to host your own launch day for Carmilla, which, by the way, 100% funded and still going strong last time I checked. Thank y'all for coming on and talking to the Council of Nerds here about Carmilla and giving us a little bit more background on what Carmilla is. And as always, y'all go hit that Kickstarter, type in A Very Carmilla Christmas Carol. Go give us some love. You won't be disappointed. Lots of covers to choose from, both PG and rated R. I'll leave it at that. So with that, whether it's horror, sci-fi, fantasy, or something gloriously unholy, the USDN podcast is where Indie's comments come to life. And with that, everybody, we are signing off. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Chairman.
you very much, Chairman.
It's a trap!